The following segment you are about to watch contains information that does not represent the opinions of Penn State Sports Night. It solely expresses the opinions of myself, Joey David, and Declan Stablow. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit pacouncil.com/helpline to get the help you need today. From the MLB being in the divisional series, college football being halfway to bowl season, and the NFL heating up for an exciting season, everything is unpredictable. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Chris Machado, and joining me for Penn State Sports Night inaugural sports betting segment is Joey David and Declan Stablow to create some fun parlays and in-game selections. So gentlemen, there's nothing better than baseball in October. The MLB is in the divisional series for the AL and NL, and things are heating up, so I'll hand it off. What do you got?
So the first thing I have is Nick Castellanos, anytime home run. I had this originally for today, but because of time of recording, I am now at an advantage, and so I will push it to next game, where I still think he's going to get a home run. The odds for today were at 625, so I don't really think that's going to change. Maybe a little bit because he'll be back home after this loss, but I still think he's going to go yard in this game. I think he's the right person in the meat and potatoes of the lineup, that he's really going to be in a good spot with a lot of guys in scoring position, on the base paths, and really working longer counts. So he'll have more of a tired pitcher, whoever is slated to face the Phillies in this next game for the Braves. And I still believe that he's going to go yard in this next game. The next thing I have, we're going to stay right into the NL, and that's right about the Diamondbacks, which the game is going on right now. The first thing I have is Zach Gallen with an over of 4.5 strikeouts. And the reason I have that at plus 102, this guy was a Cy Young candidate pretty much up until mid-August, and then he started to fizzle out a little bit. He wasn't still the same. That guy's still a really good pitcher. So I don't see why in a big game the big players don't make big plays. He can easily get over 4.5. But we got to get a little crazy here. And I know we're going to ramp it up a little bit later. I know you're going to be crazy. I know I got hot takes coming. I'm excited, okay? So I think the NL champions will be the Arizona Diamondbacks. Why do I think that? I think they just have such a young, talented roster. And I don't know what it's been with me this year. It's kind of just been a personal thing that I just love the young, talented rosters, whether it's NFL, MLB, NBA. It doesn't really matter to me. I just love the young, upstart, rebuilding teams that are playing well and playing hot. And the Diamondbacks are one of the best examples of that in all of sports. Expect Corbin Carroll to play great throughout this stretch, and maybe even take over the NL West from the Dodgers.
Joey, you start with the NL. I'm going to bring things over to the American League, starting with the Houston Astros, who are headed to Minnesota to take on the Twins. And I think the Houston Astros are going to cover a plus 1.5 spread as the underdog. And there's a few trends I'm looking at, starting with the pitchers. You've got Sonny Gray starting for Minnesota. He is 12-20 against the spread so far this season, as opposed to Christian Javier for the Astros, who is 19-11. As a team, the Astros are also 48-33 against the spread, but this is baseball. You can't rely on those trends. There's just too many variables. But when the trending team is much more experienced and has a well-rested bullpen, I think that's the smart pick. Next up, I've got the Rangers headed south of the Mason-Dixon line to close up this series against the Baltimore Orioles. I think they're going to get it done, covering a 1.5 spread. They're 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. Scherzer is still out for the Orioles, and Nathan Eovaldi, he's 15-10 against the spread also. I think he's going to close this one out. Another player who's going to help them do that is Corey Seager. Now, listen, if Shohei Ohtani had never been born, Corey Seager is the league MVP for the National League, easily. He's not necessarily a home run hitter, but he's very consistent, and at the end of the day, he's a guy who just gets the job done, and he's going against a very average pitcher in Dean Kramer. He was announced as the starting pitcher earlier today. His ERA plus is exactly 100, definition of average, and he's a fastball reliant guy, and that's just not going to get it done against someone as talented and consistent as Corey Seager.
Honestly, I love that, and honestly, I kind of wish you took more overs, because with these fastball pitchers, playoff teams nowadays are going to just be mashing each and every one of those.
All right, well, those are some excellent picks, but now let's get to the sport that the three of us love absolutely so much. It's going to be college football. Entering Week 7 from throwing around that pigskin. And Declan, I'll start with you this time. What do you got?
I've got Florida State covering minus 17.5 against Syracuse in an ACC matchup. Florida State has had some close games, won by 7 against Clemson, really should have blown out Boston College. That one came down towards the end. But listen, Syracuse, who they're going up against, they have lost 2 straight ACC games, both by 3 scores or more. They lost by 17 to Clemson, and then they got absolutely blown out by UNC. Now they're playing the best team in the ACC, a team that has returned to form. They already beat Clemson by 7. I feel really comfortable that FSU covers this spread against a Syracuse team that might have started out hot, but they're cooling down. Next, I've got one that I think is kind of crazy. USC is plus 110 on the money line. It is at Notre Dame, but listen, I know USC has they haven't so much disappointed in their record, but in their performances. They have been unable to close out games. They almost let Colorado come back against them. Arizona, that game, I don't know if you guys watched, but towards the end, they were inside the 10 at the end of regulation. They threw a pass their first play. They almost fumbled the next, and then their field goal got blocked. That cannot happen. That game went into 3 overtimes. But listen, Caleb Williams, he has that innate Peyton Manning type of ability to just will his team into winning a game, and I think we're going to see that this week. Again, Sam Hartman, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football, but he crumbled under pressure with 3 picks against Louisville. Listen, when you've got the number 10 team going up against the number 21 team, even if it's on the road, you have to take the plus 110 odds for the number 10 team. And one thing I got to point out, USC is going to have to learn how to travel east eventually. But lastly, I've got the team that almost took down USC last week, Arizona. I think they're going to cover a plus 8 spread against Washington State. Arizona, they have been playing every single team very hard. They lost by 7 against Washington, 2 to USC in their last 2 games. 2 of the best teams in the Pac-12. 2 teams led by the Heisman frontrunners. And plus 8 is kind of crazy considering Arizona hasn't lost a game by more than 7 this season. Washington State last week lost to a then unranked UCLA team. If this game was in Arizona, I'd probably pick them to win outright, but for now I'll settle for them covering. But watch for that upset.
I love those takes, honestly. And the USC money line, I was looking at that when we were thinking about this up, and I really wish that I did take it because it is a very interesting game, but I do love Sam Hartman, and it's going to be a massive battle. But I'm going to get hot, and I'm going to get hot quickly. So I'm going to start in the Pac-12 as well, and I have the Oregon money line at plus 135 over Washington. You have 2 of the top 3 Heisman candidate quarterbacks going right now. You got Bo Nix, you got Michael Penix. And I honestly think that Bo Nix is going to take this game, and I think he's going to run away with the Heisman candidacy over these 2 with this game. I believe the offense is just better, and I believe that Oregon is going to use the seniority that Bo Nix has that Michael Penix also does have when you think about it. But with this game being such a toss-up, I do believe Oregon will be the better team, and I think they will prevail. The next thing I want to talk about is Indiana plus 34.5 over Michigan. I have one stat to cover this. Michigan, when they are favored and the spread is over 20 points, they are yet to cover this season. And Michigan usually plays a light schedule like we know. So for a team like Indiana that plays Michigan pretty hard over the years, to have that spread, numbers don't lie. Michigan's a great team. We all know it. They're great in pretty much every aspect on the field. But I still like Indiana to play them hard, and I just think they're going to keep it closer than that. And finally, it's got 3 fire emojis for a reason. Penn State at plus 360 in a future to win the Big Ten. They're yours this year. There's not much more I could say about it. If Drew Aller and this offense can wake up in the first half and they can just fire guns blazing, fireworks on offense, get Nick Singleton and Katron Allen running, get the receivers used more in better route trees and all those different aspects of the offense to really open up the playbook, this team probably can't be beaten in at least the Big Ten. So as long as this offense can put it together and this defense can stay doing what they're doing, they have a real shot to win the Big Ten. And with those odds, you might as well take them in the future.
True, but they cannot come out with a slow start like they did against Northwestern when they have to play Ohio State and then Michigan later on. they got to start stepping it up early on in games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Declan, just to back up your point, Drew Aller's got to start being better on the road. And last time, let's get to the professional side of the sport really quickly. Tell me what you got for the NFL going into week 6 now. Joey, let's start with you.
The first thing I have for the NFL is an under. And I'm going to start at the bottom and work up. Look at those two teams right there. You got New England and you got the Raiders. They don't really have much going for them. New England, is Mac Jones even going to start? We don't know. Jimmy G, revenge game, yeah, whatever. Heard that one before. Not going to go well. Josh McDaniels doesn't do well against Bill Belichick, his previous boss. And that's just not going to be a game that goes over 42.5 points. Next thing you have is the Kansas City Chiefs, 31 to 40 points at plus 175. I believe they will hit this as they're playing the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, just because if the Jets can put up 31 against the Broncos, Patrick Mahomes can put up 31 against the Broncos. Finally, we're going to go up to the top, Bengals, Seahawks, and Declan. I know you were talking about this one as well. I'm going to take the over. These two receiving cores are just too good. I expect a lot of fireworks. I don't expect a lot of great defense. And I really believe that these teams are just going to obliterate this line.
Yeah, continuing off of what you said about the Bengals, one thing I want to point out is that it is a 2.5-point spread. That's kind of the magic number when you look at a spread. You only need that field goal to cover. And Joe Burrow, they started still last week, but they really came alive, him and Jamar Chase. It was an explosive performance, 3 touchdowns for Jamar. And I think the Bengals are going to cover a 2.5-point spread. Moving on to my next pick, you've got Miami playing, Carolina going to Miami. I think the under is going to hit, and that's kind of crazy from a team that, when one of the teams playing, put up 70 points this season, but the following week, they did not have a good performance against the Bills. I think they learned from those mistakes. I think they're going to put this game away early and then start to put their foot on the brake, just like they kind of did against the Giants this week. My last pick is I'm going to go to Dallas going to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the over is going to hit in this game, and there's a lot of parallels between this team's very potent offenses, very vulnerable secondaries, both behind powerhouses in the divisions. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Well, guys, those are both excellent selections all over the board. I hope they work out for you. With these 3 major sports going on, it's going to be a super fun week for fans everywhere. The boys have made their choices, and let us know what you would pick down in the comments below. This segment contains information that is not a representation of Penn State Sports Night and should not be used as official betting advice. It solely expresses the opinions of myself, Joey David, and Declan Stablow. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit pacouncil.com/helpline to get the help you need today. For Joey David and Declan Stablow, I'm Chris Machado, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.